at first glance. 9th of May parade should cheer up the Kremlin dictator Vladimir Putin, but there are 3 other big factors that will determine his behavior in 2025. Political philosopher, lecturer at Charles University in Prague, and head of the Free Russia Institute Alexander Morozov spoke about this in an interview with Glavred. According to him, May 9 will not allow Putin to feel stronger. But the dictator will be influenced by the protracted fall in oil prices, which is already being recorded around the world. It is even noticeable that the Russian political and military elite understands that the price will be able to hold out for some time at a level slightly above $45 per barrel, but not higher. The second important factor in 2025 is that the Kremlin is preparing, and not without reason, for Tauruses to be added to the economic sanctions. Since the ceasefire has failed, Moscow expects sanctions to be expanded in 2025. First of all, against the tanker fleet, against the remaining banks that are still operating, as well as the strengthening of secondary sanctions, which Trump has already announced. This will most likely be implemented, but one more step will most likely be added to the tightening of sanctions. Kiev will receive the missiles and ranges that it has long been asking for, Morozov noted. Ukraine is already demonstrating that providing more powerful weapons can be very effective, as demonstrated by highly effective strikes on Russian military installations and on installations associated with military production or storage facilities. The third factor of 2025 is that despite May 9 and the visits of some deputy ministers, foreign ministers, and there will be few top officials, all this will quickly pass, and the Kremlin will have to deal with the deterioration of relations with the countries of its immediate circle, the political philosopher explained. This is already partially evident from the ban on holding the Immortal Regiment in Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan. Therefore, the situation for the Kremlin will continue to worsen. In addition, it should be noted that the entire second half of 2025 will be filled with important international events. This includes the summer NATO summit in The Hague and the G20 meeting in November. Before the summit in The Hague, the Kremlin will already face a new wave of reaction from the United States. Therefore, I think that the second half of 2025 will be marked by confrontation between Moscow and Washington, Morozov concluded.
A missile attack has been launched on the building of the Internal Affairs Directorate in the town of Glushkovo in Russia's Kursk region. Footage taken by local residents from the area was shared on Telegram channels. 2 rockets were reportedly fired at the building, followed by several explosions. It is believed that ammunition was stored in the department, which exploded as a result of the attack. There have been no reports about casualties.
Мы были там уже внутри, и солдаты там уже были. Ракета полетела. Только что нанесли удар по улице Максима Горького. 2 ракеты прилетело. Время 12 часов 7 минут.
12 часов 7 минут был нанесен удар. И вот по зданию пятиэтажки. Что-то взрывается! Две ракеты прилетело.
It is very difficult to cope at the front when up to 100 Russian motorcyclists fly into the positions. This was stated by Hero of Ukraine, officer of the Rubez Brigade of the National Guard of Ukraine, Vladislav Stotsky, call sign Fire, in an interview with Army TV. He shared that there had recently been an assault involving 100 enemy motorcycles. According to Stotsky, these motorcycles had attacked from different sides, and one could see how the entire strip was full of motorcycles. They have a guy with electronic warfare in the back and a driver in the front, and they drive up, blow up Ukrainian positions, fight, capture. The worst situation is when an infantryman has only one way out, because he has a hole into which the enemy can throw a grenade, explosives, and nothing can be done about it. He is standing on top. If he stands like this over one position, then the drone will hit. But if they stand like this over 3 positions, then the drone will hit 1. And what about the other 2? They are not fools there, the officer of the National Guard of Ukraine said. To deal with such an invasion of motorcycles, a drone advantage is needed, he said. A mortar, artillery, or AGS won't help here. Infantry small arms and a drone advantage will help, so that the drone can catch up with it. Everything else is ineffective, Stotsky said. According to him, it is very expedient today to implement a movement to teach mortarmen, AGS operators, machine gunners to work with drones, bombers, and distribute them. At the same time, the fighter noted that such multi-profile would be expedient to use in especially difficult situations. Stotsky told how he managed to kill an enemy motorcyclist. He was on his way to his own people, but he came to us and his motorbike stalled. That's how God punished him. And it stalled, and here we are. And it turns out that we are in his rear, Stotsky noted. The fighter added that according to his passport, he was a traitor from the Luhansk region. As reported, the chairman of the Council of Reserves of the Ground Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Ivan Tymochko, said that the Russians have recently been using more and more civilian transport due to the insufficient number of armored vehicles. At the same time, due to the difficulty of movement and the high threat of destruction, the occupiers are relying on more maneuverable units, in particular motorcycle units. He noted that there is no purely military specialization of motorcycles. These are ordinary motorcycles that can be purchased from any supplier or even bought from civilians or confiscated from them.